Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. This is the third part of this topic, weavers, iron smelters and the factory owners. That is the topic of our 8th CBSE book. This topic has been discussed in our two previous videos also, and in our two previous videos we have discussed about the words which tell us about histories and major weaving centers, who were the weavers, and we have also discussed about Indian textiles in European market. So today we will discuss the further part of our second video. That is the decline of Indian textiles and the cotton mills come up. So basically in our today's video we will cover these two topics. The first is the decline of Indian textiles, and the second one is the cotton mills come up. Basically in the second part the cotton mills come up. At first we will see the establishment of first mill, the establishment of first cotton mill. Later on we will see the cotton mills in other parts of India. At first we will discuss the decline of Indian textiles. As we have discussed earlier, like handloom weaving and the occupations associated with cotton and textiles provided livelihood for millions of Indians. And the development of cotton industries in Britain affected textile producers in India in several ways. So basically in this para we will see how the Britain affected textile producers in India. At first we will see how the British affected Indian cotton textiles. First, Indian textiles now had to compete with British textiles in the European and American market. Indian textiles had to face competition . The first is Indian textiles had to face competition, and the second is the exporting textiles to England became increasingly difficult. First, Indian textiles had to face competition. Now Indian textiles had to compete with British textiles in the European and American market, as the number of British textiles was increasing continuously. And the second is exporting textiles to England became difficult. Why? Because very high duties were imposed on Indian textiles imported into Britain, and by the beginning of the 19th century, English made cotton textiles successfully outlasted Indian goods from their traditional market in Africa, America and Europe. Thousands of weavers in India were suffering from unemployment. English and European companies stopped buying Indian goods, and their agents no longer gave out advances to weavers to secure supplies as they gave in 18th century and in early 19th century. By the 1830s, British cotton cloth flooded in Indian market. In fact, by the 1880s, 2/3 of all the cotton clothes worn by Indians were made of cloth produced in Britain. This affected not only specialist weavers but spinners also. Thousands of rural women who made a living by spinning cotton thread were rendered jobless. But there was another aspect, like handloom weaving did not completely die in India. Why handloom weaving didn't die completely? This was because some types of clothes could not be supplied by machines. Like, how could machines produce saris with intricate borders or clothes with traditional woven patterns? These had a wide demand not only amongst the rich but also amongst the middle classes. Nor did the textile manufacturers in Britain produce the very coarse clothes used by poor people in India. And at that time, khadi became the symbol of nationalism. In the late 19th century, Sholapur in western India and Madurai in South India emerged new centers of weaving. Later on, during the national movement, Mahatma Gandhi urged people to boycott imported textiles and use hand-spun and hand-woven cloth. Khadi became the symbol of nationalism. The charkha came to represent India and it was put at the center of the tricolor flag of the Indian National Congress that was adopted in 1931. It became the symbol of nationalism and besides it, charkha came to represent India. That was used in spinning. As I have told you earlier, before the invention of spinning jenny and steam engine, charkha was used by the Indian weavers. After the invention of steam engine and spinning jenny, most of the poor people was using charkha in spinning work, and charkha was put in the center of tricolor Indian flag, and this flag was adopted in 1931. Now we will see what happened to weavers. The first thing, widespread unemployment. Migration. What happened to the weavers and spinners who lost their livelihood in early 19th century? Many weavers became unemployed and they lost their livelihood. Some weavers became agricultural laborers, whereas some people were working in plantations in Africa and South America. Weavers migrated to cities in search of work, and some of these handloom weavers also found work in the new cotton mills that were established in Bombay, now Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Sholapur, Nagpur and Kanpur also. Now we will see the second point of this part, that is the cotton mills come up. At first we will see the establishment of first cotton mill. The first cotton mill in India was set up as a spinning mill in Bombay in 1854, and most workers in the spinning departments were women, as we have discussed about it in our second video under the topic the stages of production. Spinning is the first stage of production, and in the stage of spinning, in the work of spinning, generally women were indulged, whereas in the second stage of production, that was weaving. In weaving work, the departments were mostly held by men. From the early 19th century, Bombay had grown as an important port for the export of raw cotton from India to England and China. It was close to the vast black soil tract of western India, where cotton was grown easily, because cotton can be grown easily in black soil. That's why black soil is also known as cotton soil. When the cotton textile mills came up, they could get supplies of raw material with ease. So basically we will see the cotton mills came up. First cotton mill was established in Bombay, and it was established in 1854. Why this first mill was established in Bombay? As I have just told you, like Bombay had grown as an important port, so that the raw cotton from India could be easily exported to England and China. It was closed and by 1900. Over 84 mills started operating in Bombay. Many of these were established by Parsi and Gujarati businessmen who had made their money through trade with China. Now we will see the other cotton mills. Mills came up in other cities too. The first mill in Ahmedabad was started in 1861. First mill in Ahmedabad started in 1861, and after it, or we can say a year later, a mill was established in Kanpur. Kanpur was in United Provinces. The growth of cotton mills led to a demand for labor. Thousands of poor peasants, artisans and agricultural laborers moved to the cities to work in the mills. In the first few decades of the existence, the textile factory industry in India faced many problems. Which kind of problems were faced by cotton textile mills in India? Like the first is, it found difficult to compete with the cheap textiles imported from Britain. In most countries, government supported industrialization by imposing heavy duties on imports. This eliminated competition and protected infant industries. The second problem which was faced by Indian textiles was the colonial government in India usually refused such protection to local industries. The first major spurt in the development of cotton factory production in India therefore was during the First World War, when textiles imports from Britain declined and Indian factories were called upon to produce cloth for military supplies. At that time, once again Indian cotton textiles industry were going to be flourished, because now mostly British industries were indulged, were busy in making weapons. So that's why Indian textile industries were asked to make the cotton clothes so that the cloth could be supplied easily for English soldiers. In a last part of this video, we will discuss about the sword of Tipu Sultan and Woods Steel, and later on Tisco also.